All right, so just going to review what we did here before we left school about how you can find x and y intercepts. And this is something that you might want to use if you're graphing. So it might be something easy to graph rather than working with slope and slope intercept form and such. If you just find 2 points, you can graph any line. So those 2 points that we're going to find are going to be the x and the y intercept. So what an x-intercept is an x-intercept is where the line will cross the x-axis. It'll only happen once, right? I can draw a line anywhere on this graph, and it should only ever cross the x-axis at a maximum of just one time. Now I could cross 0 times if it were, a parallel line or if it were a horizontal line straight across. But it can only ever have it one x-intercept and one y-intercept, no more than that. So how we find an x-intercept is we first think about what do we know about a point that's on the x-axis. So any point that's on this x-axis will have what coordinates, right? So this point right here. This is 1, 0. About this point, well, that is 6, 0. About something way over here, that's -7, 0. Something you notice is that it's always comma 0, right? So the y coordinate always 0 when we have a point on the x-axis. So in order to find the x-intercept, we know that the y is 0 when we find the x-intercept. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this equation and we're going to put y 0 into that equation. And we're going to figure out what x has to be. All right. So something else that makes that actually quicker. Okay. So first of all, we can just take this. We can plug a 0 in for y and solve that equation. So what do we have? We have 3x. This is just going to be 0, so it goes away, equals 12. So we get that x is 4 because we divide both sides by 3. All right, so we get that x is 4, so our point's actually going to be right there, our x-intercept. Or something you can do is what I call hide and divide. And by hide and divide, right, if we have y 0, it makes this term go away when we find the x-intercept. So when we put y 0, it makes that term go away. So what you can do is you take your thumb or your finger and just cover that up and then solve what's left, right? So when I cover this up, what do I have? I have 3x equals 12, which is actually right there where we were in the second step. All right, and you can do the same thing with finding the y-intercept. So to find the y-intercept, we know that x is actually 0. All right, so if you're finding an intercept, the opposite coordinate will be 0. So what do we do for that? We can do hide and divide. And what we do is we hide the other variable. So if I'm finding the y-intercept, I'm going to hide x because I know x is 0. So I take my finger, I put it right over there, and now I'm just solving what's left. So I'm just solving a 2y equals 12. So I'm just going to divide both sides by 2, and I will get that y is 6. That means that when x is 0, y is 6, so x is 0, y is 6, that means you have a point there. And now you have 2 points, you can graph a line. Just connect them together with a ruler. Obviously, if you're doing this on the computer, you don't have a ruler, or you can virtual ruler. But that's kind of a crash course there on what x and y intercepts were before we left. Let's find the x and the y-intercept here, and then we'll be done. X-intercept, y-intercept. What do I know about an x-intercept? Well, I know y is 0. All right? So what I can do is I can take my finger, can't see my finger, it's on the board right now, but just taking your finger and cover this up right there. Cover that up. Right? Because to find an x-intercept, y is 0, so that means that y goes away. So we hide it, we hide the y, and then we divide. All right, so what do we have to divide? We just divide off this -2, and we get that x is equal to -8. And I would like you guys to start writing these as ordered pairs. So we have an x-intercept, we have a y of 0 and an x of -8. So we would write that as -8, 0. That's the point. For the y-intercept, what do we know? We know that the opposite variable there is 0. All right? So what should I do to find the y-intercept? I should hide x. So I take my hand, I hide x, and then I divide, hide and divide. So I divide both sides by 4 to solve that equation, and I get that y is equal to 4. So if I write this as an ordered pair, I know that x is 0 and y is 4. So I would write that like that. And then if I were to graph this line, I would just graph both of these points, connect them with a straight line, and that would be the graph. And let's see, anything, writing equations from patterns. So we're just, for these, you're just continuing the pattern. I don't know if I want to go over these. So you do notice a pattern that these all go up by 1 until you get over to here, all right? So I have go up 2, up 2, up 2, up 2, up 2, up 2. But the thing to notice here in this chart is that these all went up 1 here. So plus 1, plus 1, plus 1, 1, plus 1, plus 1, and now all of a sudden plus 2. Right? They missed the 7. There was a 7 there. What you can do is you can say, okay, well, they missed a 7. I'll put a 7 in here. Right? So it goes 6, 7, 8. That follows the same thing as the pattern back here. So this pattern will be the same then. So up 2. So we get up 2, and we get up 2. Now, unfortunately, instead of going up 1, this one actually goes up 4. So what happens if you want a shortcut, instead of actually filling this chart in with like extra numbers, is you can say, okay, this went up 4 instead of up 1, so it went up 4 times as much. So this would typically go up 2, but now instead it's going to go up 4 times that amount. So it's going to go up 4 times 2. So it's really going to increase by 8. So instead of being 22 plus 2, it's 22 plus 8, which is 30. That's how we fill that chart in. And that's about it for that video.